In the vast silence of deep space, nearly 12 billion miles away, something extraordinary just happened. Voyager 2, the spacecraft humanity launched in 1977, has done something no one expected. For decades, Voyager 2 has been humanity's silent messenger, carrying a golden record of Earth's story, drifting further into the endless night. It was never meant to return, never meant to stop. It was designed to fly outward forever, past the edges of our solar system, into the great unknown. And yet, last week, NASA detected something impossible. The spacecraft shifted its trajectory. Tiny thrusters, long thought to be nearly useless after 48 years, fired. Voyager 2 altered its path, not by accident, not by chance, but deliberately. Scientists at the Deep Space Network in Canberra, Australia, were the first to notice. A faint carrier signal had been weak, nearly drowned in cosmic noise. Then, suddenly, the transmission spiked, a clean, steady tone unlike anything Voyager 2 had sent in decades. And hidden within that signal was movement data. The spacecraft wasn't just sending telemet. The room fell silent. Scientists, engineers, even interns all stared at the screens, realizing the impossible truth: a machine half a century old, billions of miles away, had changed course. Voyager 2's systems, ancient, fragile, running less memory than a digital watch, do not glitch like this. They fail, they die, they go silent. They do not decide. And then came the second signal. Encoded bursts, rhythmic, patterned. Not telemetry. Not human code. Something new. Something deliberate. For the first time, Voyager 2 was speaking. After 48 years alone in the abyss, Voyager wasn't returning empty. It was returning with a message. Within hours, the world was on edge. Stock markets dipped. Leaders held emergency briefings. The internet exploded with theories. Some called it the start of first contact. Others feared it was a harbinger of doom, proof that something dangerous lurked in the dark, chasing Voyager back toward us. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory worked around the clock, decoding the mysterious bursts. At first, the data looked like noise. But then, a chilling realization struck. The signal carried repetition-structured intervals, ratios that matched no Earth language, no human algorithm, but mirrored mathematical constants. Voyager wasn't broadcasting random code. For 3 days, scientists worked in secret. But when the first translation attempt leaked online, panic spread faster than fire. The signal contained a sequence that matched the exact layout of our solar system, with one crucial differ. Some argued Voyager had simply recorded something, some unknown intelligence using it as a messenger. Others whispered darker theories, that Voyager wasn't turning back of its own will, but had been sent back. Controlled. Hijacked. The numbers streamed back across billions of miles. A descending sequence, clear, unmistakable. A clock ticking toward something. Governments tried to suppress it. NASA stayed quiet. But the world knew. The countdown wasn't in years or months. It was in days. Religious leaders called it prophecy. Conspiracy theorists swore it was the beginning of an invasion. Protesters filled the streets demanding answers. And in quiet corners, scientists admitted the terrifying truth. If Voyager 2 had turned back, something powerful enough to command it existed out there. And if that something was coming closer, Earth's countdown had already begun. Every nation, every person on Earth, held their breath. Because for the first time, it wasn't about borders, politics, or wars. It was about survival. Voyager 2, once our proudest messenger of. Day after day, the countdown ticked lower. 24. 23. 22. Humanity, for the first time in history, felt united. Not in hope, but in fear. Airports slowed. Cities grew quiet. Even wars paused, as though enemies themselves knew none of it mattered anymore. Eyes turned skyward, searching, waiting. NASA's last transmission to Voyager 2 carried a desperate message. If you can understand us, show us a sign. Hours later, the spacecraft responded. For the first time in decades, its camera, long thought useless, flickered to life. Voyager 2 had turned not to warn us of death, but to remind us of life. To show us that our greatest fear, the silence, was an illusion. For once, we weren't just nations or enemies. We were Earth. One fragile world beneath an infinite sky. Voyager's golden record still drifts through space, carrying music, greetings, our laughter, our dreams. But now we know it will not drift alone. And though the countdown ended with no destruction, humanity understood something. Voyager 2 had turned back. The world had stopped. And when it started again, it was no longer the same. Days passed. The countdown was over, and still no arrival. Skeptics breathed relief, claiming it had all been a cosmic misunderstanding, a technical fluke magnified by fear. Stock markets recovered. Politicians gave cautious statements, assuring people that all was under control. The world began to move again. Voyager's last signal had not been random. It had not been noise. That final pulse, "We are not alone," was deliberate, and more than that, it was incomplete. At the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, analysts replayed the transmission endlessly. Buried within the carrier wave, hidden in layers of modulation, were patterns no one had noticed in the chaos. Ratios repeating like echoes of prime numbers. Tiny spikes forming a lattice, almost like a code inside the code. Not far, not distant galaxies or unreachable stars, but somewhere within our own solar system. A point in the outer dark, near the orbit of Neptune, where nothing should exist. Governments moved fast. Telescopes across the world turned to that region of sky. Radio arrays locked on. Within days, faint signatures emerged. Objects small at first, like sparks against the void. But as weeks passed, they grew clearer, undeniable. Not a fleet. Not a single craft. But a structure. Vast. Unmoving. Suspended in the cold black beyond Neptune, orbiting silently, as though it had always been there, waiting. The world was told nothing. Officials denied the data. But the leaks were unstoppable. Astronomers posted blurred images online before being silenced. Amateur stargazers caught glimpses of unnatural lights where there should be none. Theories multiplied. Some said it was a station, a gate, a beacon. Others insisted it was a trap, a hunter's snare cast across the solar system. Religious leaders called it divine, proof of angels, demons, or gods returning to Earth. But deep in NASA's labs, a quieter realization spread. The signal Voyager sent, the countdown had not ended. Every telescope trained on that point of darkness recorded the same impossible sight. And what lay beyond was not stars. It was blacker than space itself, an absence so complete that even light seemed to bend around it. A void, a mouth, a threshold. The awakening began slowly, like the ripple of a tide rolling across the dark. Instruments all over Earth went haywire, compasses twitching, satellites flickering, deep-sea sensors registering impossible vibrations. It was as if the entire planet had been caught in the pull of something vast, something invisible, stretching across the solar system. Astronomers called it a gravitational anomaly. Priests called it the hand of God. But to those watching from control rooms in Houston, Canberra, and Moscow, it was something more chilling, an arrival signal. The doorway beyond Neptune widened. Inside that abyss, something glimmered, angles of light bending in ways physics should not allow. For moments, the shape was nothing but distortion, a ghost in the data. But then, it stepped through. Geometric. Towering. Fractal. It dwarfed mountains, continents, maybe even planets. Its surface shimmered as if made of liquid metal and living glass, shifting constantly between symmetry and chaos. Sensors failed to measure its size. The news couldn't be hidden now. Amateur astronomers caught the movements. Live feeds from hacked observatories spilled across the internet. The world watched as something older than history crossed into our solar system, and for the first time, humanity understood that Voyager had never been the messenger. Within hours, the object transmitted. Not radio, not light, but something stranger, a wave that moved through space, through matter, through flesh and thought alike. Across the planet, billions of people felt it at once. Not sound, not words, but a pulse. A feeling. Every mind, for a fleeting second, touched by something vast and ancient. Some collapsed in terror, others wept, others screamed prayers into the night. Across nations, across languages, the reaction was the same. Humanity had been seen. Screens across the world, phones, TVs, even blank ones long broken, flashed with a single pattern. Circles within circles, intersecting, expanding, until one remained, glowing brighter than the rest. The streets filled with panic. Some begged for salvation, others rioted, convinced the end had come. Leaders screamed into secure lines, demanding military action, though every weapon humanity owned was meaningless against what hung above the stars. In the final moments, something strange happened. The chaos quieted. Cities, once deafened by fear, fell into an eerie hush. People stood in streets, on rooftops, in fields, looking upward, as if the whole species knew that whatever was coming was no longer in their control.